Genesis 27. Now it was when Isaac grew old, and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called Esau his elder son, and said to him, My son, here I am. He said to him, Look, I'm old, he said. I don't know the day of my death. So now please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt me some game. Then prepare me a delicious meal that I love, and bring it to me so that I may eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac was speaking to Esau his son. So while Esau went to the field to hunt game to bring in, Rebekah said to Jacob, her son, Look, I heard your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, Bring me some game, and prepare me a delicious meal that I may eat, and bless you and add a nice presence before my death. So now, my son, listen to me my voice, to what I am commanding you. Go now to the flock, and bring me 2 good young goats from there, so that I may prepare them as a delicious meal to your father that he'll love. Then you'll bring it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before his death. But Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, but I'm a smooth man. Perhaps my father will touch me, and he'll take for me a mocker, and I'll bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing. And then his mother said to him, Let your curse fall on me, my son. Just listen to me and go. Get them for me. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared delicious meals that his father would love. Rebekah also took her elder son Esau's favorite clothes that were with her in the house, and she put them on her younger son Jacob, along with the skins of young goats on his hands and on the hairless part of his neck. She put the delicious meal and the bread that she had prepared in the hand of Jacob her son. Then he came to his father and said, My father. He said, I'm here. Who are you, my son? Then Jacob said to his father, I'm your firstborn Esau. I've done just what you said to me. Sit up, please eat some of my wild game, so that your soul may bless me. Then Isaac said to his son, How in the world were you able to find it so quickly, my son? He said, Because Adonai your God made it happen for me. Then Isaac said to Jacob, Please come closer so that I can feel you, my son, whether or not you really are my son Esau. So Jacob came closer to his father Isaac, and he felt him. Then he said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands. He did not recognize him because his hands were like the hairy hands of his brother Esau, so he blessed him. But he said, Are you really my son Esau? So he said, I am. Then he said, Bring it to me, and I'll eat some of my son's wild game, so that my soul may bless you. So he brought it to him and ate, and he brought him wine and drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, Please come closer and kiss me, my son. So he came closer and kissed him. While he smelled the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, Behold, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that Adonai has blessed. May God give you from the dew of the sky and from the fatness of the land an abundance of grain and new wine. May people serve you, and may nations bow down to you. Be master over your brothers. May your mother's sons bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and may those who bless you be blessed. No sooner had Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had just gone out from his father Isaac's presence, that Esau his brother came in from hunting, and prepared a delicious meal, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father get up and eat some of my son's wild game, that your soul may bless him, his son's wild game. His father Isaac said, Who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. Then Isaac trembled with intense trembling, and said, Who was it then that hunted wild game and brought it to me? I ate it all just before you came, and I blessed him. And yes, he will be blessed. When Esau heard his father's words, he shouted with an intensely bitter groan. Then he said to his father, Bless me too, my father. Then he said, Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. He said, Is this why he was named Jacob, since he tricked me twice already? My birthright he's taken. Look, now he's to the south, and you and all the families. Oh no, now he's taken my blessing. Then he said, Haven't you saved a blessing for me? Isaac answered and said to Esau, Behold, I've made him master over you and all your brothers, and I've given him his servants. I provided him with grain and new wine. What then can I do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, Do you just have one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac said to his father said to him, Behold, away from the land of fatness shall your dwelling be, away from the dew of the sky above. By your sword you shall live, and your brother you shall serve. But when you tear yourself loose, you will tear his yoke off your neck. So Esau bore a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, Let the time for mourning my father draw near, so that I can kill my brother Jacob. Now to Rebekah was reported the words of Esau her elder son, so she sent and called for Jacob her younger son, and said to him, Look, your brother Esau is consoling himself about you with the thought of killing you. So now, my son, listen to my voice. Give me to Laban, my brother in Haran. Then stay with him a few days until your brother's rage subsides, until your brother's rage turns away from you and he forgets what you've done to him. Then I'll send for you and get you back from there. What should I lose? Why should I lose both of you in one day?" And Jacob said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife from the daughters of Heth like these women from the daughters of the land, what is life to me?" 28. So Isaac called for Jacob, blessed him, commanded him, and said to him, "Don't take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Get up, go to Padan Aram, the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take for yourself a wife from there, and the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. Now may El Shaddai bless you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, so that you will become an assembly of peoples, and may he give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your seed with you, that you may take possession of the land of your sojourn, which God gave to Abraham." And Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went toward Padan Aram to Ladan, the son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Now Esau saw that Isaac blessed Jacob when he sent with him to Padan Aram to take for himself a wife from there. When he blessed him and commanded him, saying, "Don't take a wife from the daughters of Canaan," Jacob listened to his father Isaac and to his mother, and went to Padan Aram. Then Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan were contemptible in his father Isaac's eyes. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahaleth, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, Nebaioth's sister, for his wife, besides his other wives. Then Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran. He happened upon a certain place and spent the night there, for the sun had set. So he took one of the stones from the place and put it by his head and lay down in that place. He dreamed. All of a sudden there was a stairway set up on the earth, and its top reaching to the heavens, and behold, the angels of God going up and down on it. Surprisingly, Adonai was standing on top of it, and he said, "I am Adonai, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac, the land on which you lie, and I will give it to you and your seed. Your seed will be as the dust of the land, and you will burst forth to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed, and in your seed, and all in your seed. Behold, I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. For I will not forsake you until I have done what I had promised." Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, "Undoubtedly, Adonai in this place, and I was unaware." So he was afraid and said, "How fearsome this place is! This is none other than the house of God. This must be the gate of heaven." Early in the morning, Jacob got up and took a stone, which he had placed on his head, and set it all as a memorial stone, and poured oil on top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, though all originally the city's name was Luz. And then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and watch over me on this way that I am going, and provide me food to eat and clothes to wear, and I return in shalom and be to my father's house, then Adonai will be my God. So this stone which I set up as a memorial stone will become God's house, and of everything you provide me, I will definitely give a tenth of it to you." 29. Then Jacob lifted up his feet and went to the land of the peoples to the east. When he looked, suddenly there was a well in the field, and there were 3 herds of sheep resting by it. For from that well, the water would water the flocks. The stone in the mouth of the well was large. When all the herds gathered from there, they would roll away the stone from the mouth of the well and the water the flocks, and put the stone back in its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We're from Haran," they said. So he said to them, "Don't you know Laban, Nahor's son?" They said, "We know." He said to them, "Is he well?" "Well," they said, "look, here comes his daughter Rachel with a flock." He said, "Since it's still the middle of the day, it is not time for the livestock to be gathered. Water the flock and let them go and graze." But they said, "We can't, not until all the flocks are gathered and the stone is rolled away from the mouth of the well. Then we'll water the flock." Then he was still speaking with them, and Rachel came with the flock that belonged to her father, for she was a shepherdess. Now when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob stepped forward and rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. Then Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, so that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Now when Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, hugged him and kissed him, and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these things. Laban said to him, "Surely you are my own bone and flesh." Then he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Should you, my relative, serve me for nothing? Tell me what should your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful in form and in appearance. Jacob was in love with Rachel, so he said, "Let me serve you for 7 years, for Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban said, "It's better that I give her to you, then I give her to another man. Stay with me." So Jacob worked for Rachel 7 years. Yet in his eyes it was like a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are completed, so I may go to her." So Laban gathered all the men of this place and prepared a feast. When it was evening, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and he went with her. Laban also gave her Zilpah, his female servant, to his daughter Leah as a female servant. So when it was morning, behold, there she was, Leah. So he said to Laban, "What is this you've done to me? Wasn't it for Rachel that I worked with you? So why have you deceived me?" But Laban said, "It's not done in our place to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the bridal week for this one, then we'll also give you the other, for work that you'll do with me, another 7 years more." So Jacob did. He also completed this one's bridal week. Then he gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban also gave his daughter Rachel, his female servant Bilhah, to be a servant for her. Jacob also went to Rachel, and indeed loved Rachel more than Leah, so he served with him for yet another 7 years. Now Adonai saw that Leah was unloved, so he opened her womb, but Rachel was unable to conceive. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son named Reuben, because she said, "For Adonai has seen my affliction. Surely now my husband will love me." Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to a son, and said, "For Adonai heard that I am hated, so he's given me this one also." And she named him Simeon. Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will join himself to me, because I've given birth to 3 sons for him." For this reason he was named Levi. Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to a son, and said, "This time I praise Adonai." For this reason she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. Chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she bore no children for Jacob, Rachel was jealous of her sister, and she said to Jacob, "Give me sons. If there are none, I'll die." But Jacob became furious with Rachel. He said, Am I instead of God, the one who withheld you from the fruit of the womb?" So she said, "Here's my maidservant Bilhah. Go to her and let her give birth on my knees. So that from her I may also build a family." Then she gave her maidservant Bilhah to him for a wife, and Jacob went to her. Bilhah became pregnant and gave birth to a son for Jacob. So Rachel said, "God has judged my cause, and also heard my voice, and given me a son." Therefore she named him Dan. Then Rachel's female servant became pregnant again and gave birth to a second son for Jacob. So Rachel said, "I've surely wrestled greatly with my sister, also I've won." So she named him Naphtali. Now Leah saw that she had stopped having children. So she took Zilpah, her female servant, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Zilpah, Leah's female servant, gave birth to a son for Jacob. Leah said, "How fortunate." So she named him Gad. Then Zilpah, Leah's female servant, gave birth to a second son for Jacob. Leah said, "How happy am I! 4 daughters have called me happy." So she named him Asher. Now during the days of the wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field, and he brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Wasn't it enough that you took my husband away? You'd also like to take away my son's mandrakes?" So Rachel said, "That being so, let him lie with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." So when Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet with him, and she said, "You must come to me, for I've actually hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he lay with her that very night. Moreover, God heard Leah, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a 5th son for Jacob. Leah said, "God gave me my reward, because I gave my female servant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Then Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a 6th son for Jacob. Leah said, "God has presented me with a good gift this time. My husband will honor me, for I've borne 6 sons for him." So she named him Zebulun. Afterwards she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered that Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. Then she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. So she said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph, saying, "May Adonai had another son for me." Now it was after Rachel gave birth to Joseph that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away so that I can go to my place and to my land. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go. For you yourselves know my labor that I've served you." But Laban said to him, "If I found favor in your eyes, I've looked for good omens. May Adonai bless me because of you." Moreover, he said, "Name your own price, and I'll pay it." Then he said to him, "You yourself know how I've served you, and how your livestock fared with me. For you had very little before I came, and it had been busting at the seams in abundance. So Adonai blessed you with my every step. So now when am I myself going to make everything for my household also?" Then he said, "What can I pay you?" Jacob said, "You don't need to pay me anything. If you will do this one thing for me, I will shepherd your flock again and watch it. Let me pass through your flock today, removing every colorful spotted lamb from there and every dark-colored lamb among the sheep, as well as the colorfully spotted among the goats, and that will be my salary. So tomorrow my honesty will testify on my behalf. When you come to check on my salary you agreed to. Every one that isn't colorfully spotted among the goats or dark-colored among the sheep, with me it is stolen." So Laban said, "All right. May it be according to your word." On that day he removed the colorfully striped and colorful billy goats, as well as the colorfully spotted goats, every one with white on it, and every dark-colored one among the lambs, and he put them in the hand of his sons. Then he put a 3 days' journey between them and Jacob, while Jacob was shepherding Laban's remaining flocks. But Jacob took fresh white poplar, almond, and plane tree branches, peeled away white strip sections on them, exposing the white of the branches. Then he set the branches he had peeled in front of the flock in the drinking troughs and watering channels where the flocks came to drink, since they were in heat when they came to drink. The flocks matted near the branches, and the flock gave birth to striped, spotted, and colorful ones. Now Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped ones, as well as all the dark-colored ones among Laban's flocks. Then he set aside the herds for himself and did not put them with Laban's flocks. Whenever the strong flocks mated, Jacob put the branches in the watering troughs before the eyes of the flock to have them mate near the branches. But when the flocks were sticky, he did not put the branches down. So the sickly ones became Laban, and the stronger ones became Jacob's. And the man grew exceedingly prosperous and had numerous flocks, along with female and male servants, camels, and donkeys. Now Jacob heard the words Laban's sons were saying. Jacob had taken everything that belonged to our father, and from what belongs to our father he has also made all these riches. Then Jacob saw Laban's face, and he noticed that his expression wasn't the same as it was just a day or two before. Then Adonai said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and it will be with you." So Jacob sent and called for Rachel and Leah to come to the field to his flock, and he said to them, "I can see by your father's face that his expression isn't the same as it was just a day or two ago. But the God of my father has been with me. Now you yourselves know that I've served your father with all my strength. Yet your father has fooled all around with me and has changed my salary 10 times. But God hasn't allowed him to harm me. If he would say, 'The spotted ones will be your salary,' then the flocks would give birth to the spotted ones. Or if he would say, 'The striped ones will be your salary,' then all the flocks would give birth to the striped ones. So God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me. Now it happened, when the flocks were in heat, and I lifted my eyes and saw, in a dream, behold, the males going up to the flocks were striped, spotted, and speckled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob,' and I said, 'Hineni.' He said, 'Lift up your eyes and see that all the males going up to the flocks are striped, spotted, and speckled. For I have seen everything Laban has done to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a memorial stone, where you made a vow to me. Get up now and leave this land and return to the land of your relatives.' Then Rachel answered along with Leah, and they said to him, 'Isn't there still a portion and inheritance for us in our father's house? Aren't we considered as foreigners to him? For he has sold us and has also completely used up our bridal price, for all the riches that God has taken away from our fathers, for us and for our children. So now everything God said to you, do it.' And then Jacob got up and put his children and wives and camels. He drove away all his livestock and all his possessions that he had acquired, the livestock and his possessions that he acquired, and put on Aram to go to his father Isaac to the land of Canaan. But while Laban went to shear his flocks, Rachel stole the idols that belonged to her father. While Jacob stole the heart from Laban, the Aramaean, by not telling him that he was fleeing, he himself fled with everything that belonged to him, and he got up and crossed the river and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. When Laban was told on the 3rd day after Jacob had fled, he took his relatives with him and pursued him in the 7 days' journey. Then he overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramaean in a dream at night and said to him, 'Watch over yourself, lest you say anything to Jacob, good or bad.' So Laban caught up to Jacob. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, so Laban and his brothers pitched their tents in the hill country of Gilead as well. Then Laban said to Jacob, 'What have you done, that you stole my heart and have driven my daughters away like captives of the sword? Why did you secretly flee away and steal from me? Why didn't you tell me, so I could send you away with joy and with songs and with tambourines and with lyres? And you didn't even let me kiss my sons and daughters. Now you've behaved foolishly. It is in the power of my hand to do evil with you. But yesterday the God of your fathers spoke to me, saying, Watch yourself, lest you say anything to Jacob, good or bad. So now when you up and left, because you really missed your father's house, why did you steal my gods? In response, Jacob said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I thought, suppose you snatch your daughters away from me. Anyone with whom you find your God shall not live. In front of our relatives, identify whatever is yours that is with me, and take it back. But Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent and into the tent of the two. maids, but he found nothing. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken idols, put them in the camel's saddlebag, and sat on them. So Laban felt around the entire tent, but did not find them. She said to her father, let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for I am having the way of women. So he searched, but he did not find idols. Then Jacob got angry and argued with Laban. Jacob answered and said to Laban, what's my crime? What's my sin for you hotly pursued me, that you've hotly pursued me? For you felt through all my things. What did you find? Any of your household things? Put them here in front of my relatives and yours, so they can decide between the two of us. These past 20 years I've been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have never miscarried, and I've never eaten rams from your flock. I didn't bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I myself would bear the loss. You would require it from my hand, whether stolen or by day or by night. I was consumed by heat during the day, consumed by frost during the night. My sleep fled from my eyes. This is how I've been for 20 years in your house. I served you for 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my salary 10 times. Had I not the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But God saw my misery and the toil of my hands, and last night he became the judge. In response, Laban said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, and the sons are my sons, and the flocks are my flocks. Everything you see is mine, but what can I do for these, my daughters, today, or for their sons to whom they have given birth? So now come, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone up and set it as a pillar, and Jacob took to his relatives, gather stones. So they took the stones and made a pile, and they ate there on the pile. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galed. And Laban said, this pile is a witness between you and me today. That is why it's named Galed, or Mizpah, for he said, let Adonai keep watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you mistreat my daughters, and if you take wives besides my daughters, though no one is with us, God is the witness between you and me. Laban said further to Jacob, behold this pile, this is the pillar which I've set up between you and me, since the pile serves as a witness, that I won't pass by this pillar to go to you, that you won't pass by this pile and this pillar to go to me with evil intent. May the God of Abraham and the gods of Nahor and the gods of their fathers judge between us. Jacob also made an oath by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain, and he invited his relatives to eat bread, so they ate bread and spent the night on the mountain.